Our Minister of Foreign Affairs is saying, well, is there a problem? There was a beautiful Treaty of Lausanne of 1923, and so the Armenians have their rights and are protected?
Yes, the Treaty of Lausanne actually was the culmination to the decimation of the entire Armenian nation. Actually, we call it the Black Treaty of Lausanne, which relegated the Armenian question to unsolved matters. And at least I can say that the Treaty of Lausanne, in its 9 articles, Articles 37 till 45, had in it the protection of minorities. And if we want to take those articles one by one, which revolve around the rights or the fundamental guarantees to life, liberty, free practice of religion, and try to scrutinize what's going on in Turkey, even those rights that have been signed by the Treaty of Lausanne are not really carried out properly. To give you an example is that we have the Armenian schools in Turkey. The Armenian schools are not run by the Armenians themselves. They are, although the directors of the Armenian schools, but the sub-directors are really the ones who put the curriculum and manage the entire schooling system. And a student cannot really go to a different province, to another Armenian school to study. He is restricted to his province, he is restricted to his village. So what does this signify? This signifies that the Turks want to Turkify all the minorities. For them, the Armenians don't exist anymore, because we only have, they claim that they have only 50 to 60,000 Armenians, and those Armenians are Turkish citizens. There is no Armenian question, and if there is Armenian question, where are those Armenians living in the provinces? But the basic question is, who was responsible for the deportations and the massacres of those Armenians who left Turkey? They didn't leave Turkey out of their own volition or consent, but they were deported and they were systematically massacred. And the reports gathered by the French ambassador Paul Gambon, Henry Morgenthau, who was the ambassador, a Jew himself, who was the ambassador for the Americans in Istanbul, not to mention Toynbee, Herbert Gibbons, Johann Lepsius, and other Christian travelers who came to the Ottoman Empire and witnessed the systematic massacres of the Armenians. And the 1915 genocide was the apex of that. Now, for the Turkish authorities, they are trying to eradicate any cultural traces of Armenian heritage in Turkey. They want to remove all Armenian names, as they did, and they Turkified the names of streets, cultural monuments, and we have a lot of documents gathered by scholars from the Western world witnessing what is going on in Turkey, and they claim it to be a cultural genocide. Therefore, for the Turks, there is no Armenian question. It is solved. There is no genocide. It never materialized. And all those are a bunch of lies. They claim that the Armenians perpetrated the massacres first. And we say, how could defenseless Armenians perpetrate massacres against the Ottoman Empire, which was at the time one of the greatest powers in the 19th century in the Middle East? When did we resort to violence? We resorted to violence when our demands were neglected. Now, what are the Armenians demanding in the world? They are demanding a world recognition that a genocide really perpetrated in the 20th century, and the authors of that genocide were the Turks. And we need to have this international recognition from the United Nations, Human Rights Commissions, and from the Western democracies, because we are Christians, and as Christians, we think that Western Europe owes it to us, owes it to us in a sense that we should be recognized as a peaceful nation, as we're a nation that has been suffering persecution, and we want to ease the pressures on our our nationals in Turkey. And this is the role of the Western churches, to put pressures through diplomatic means, through humanitarian media, through pressures to the government to ease the tensions on the Christian minorities in general. It is not only the Armenians who are suffering. One has really to admit the fact that the Assyrians are being persecuted, the Nestorians are being persecuted. So the element of religion, it seems to me, is playing an important role, not to mention that these also, the Christian minorities which were ruled under the millet system, represent ethnic minorities in Turkey. So the element of ethnicity and nationalism also for the Turks represents another facet of a multiplex problem.